Why do you say that, Father? You aren't afraid, are you?
No, but I respect some of the superstitions of others. Often they are founded in fact.
This is your time. This is your call to arms. For the Cryptid Connection is your voice. I'm your host, Jennifer.
And I'm your host, Stephen. Welcome to Cryptid Connection.
The Cryptid Connection podcast is brought to you by cryptidconnection.com, a website dedicated to you, one who has interest in all things cryptid and paranormal. CC is a place where you can enjoy a hassle-free lifestyle and community of Bigfoot pursuit. All our podcast guests are members of the website. Stop by via the internet and visit. Guarantee you will start to feel at home. cryptidconnection.com.
Hi, everybody. On this episode, we've got Jeremy Gibson. Jeremy Gibson's been a Bigfoot researcher in Northeast Texas, in the Texarkana area. Jeremy's lived out there, I think, most of his life. He's been kind of involved with these creatures for a very long time. Jeremy, would you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about where you come from.
Well, how you doing? I come from a little small town, just Commerce, Texas. I guess I first got experience with this little creature about 9 to 12 years old with my dad. And it's just been a joyride since then. You know, it's got me involved in paleontology, archaeology, and different survival techniques for on the go. Gosh, man. What else would you like to know?
Well, you actually opened it up to just a whole bunch of stuff. You mentioned paleontology, archaeology, and various survival skills. You've also mentioned that you've been dealing with this creature since you were about 10 or 12 years. Yeah, very early age with your dad.
Yes, sir.
Let's first talk about the archaeology and paleontology. I know you are an avid collector and hunter of artifacts. What kind of stuff do you hunt?
Well, I'm kind of actually, I know my topology real well. I stand corrected as well. I do archaeology, paleontology, geology, and anthropology. Really, quite a few. It's all mixed in there together anyway, as anybody knows. But it's just, I got curious as a kid when you're told there's no monsters in the woods, and then you hear something that actually scares your father, who's not scared of anything. And I've been in with this man in the woods since I was holding a bottle, and I've never seen him react to anything other than this thing like that. And he had prior experiences to it as a kid as well in the same area. And the story really starts with Bill Gibson, my father, but I continue on afterwards. And just as growing up as a kid and a teenager, it hit me at the right time. I decided to start studying and learning things out there, trying to kill as many birds, with one stone as I could. I was a book nerd anyway. So, at 13, I was reading Latin, most towards paleontology. You could say Ichthyosaurus, and I could spell it. Yes, we got a vast collection. We found 2 of the rarest mastodons in North Texas. One were the shovel-billed mastodons. They said did not exist here. Well, guess what? It did. And I found out. I still got his jaw section at the house to prove that. And then we've got one of the oldest known mastodons here as well. And it was one of the shorter, swampier ones. I got into paleontology trying to find regions and new bone samples and stuff later on. I never knew this was going to take my life later. But now that I'm glad that I did study it and learn it, because that's half of this animal's undiscovered. And it's just not, Bigfoot in general. It's any cryptid animal, from a bug to a butterfly.
Totally understand that. So you've actually, you've accomplished things. I mean, you found the mastodons and you found various other things. I know you collect artifacts. You do arrowhead collecting, things like that?
Yes, sir. We've got probably 5,000 to 10,000 different artifacts that we found. I haven't yet seen any new tools developed within the last 10,000 years that could amplify the Bigfoot's using tools or anything like that.
Well, how does your learned knowledge of these subjects benefit your research into the Bigfoot or cryptid subject?
Well, say I walk into a cave and I see artifacts laying on the ground. Well, did Bigfoot do that, or did a human do that? Is it modern? Is it fake? It goes on and on. And if you know your typology, pick it up and say, hey, this is a Gary, this is made by a Coyote Indian 10,000 years ago. You know where its proper place is. And a lot of people have said that Bigfoot, some of us say that he uses tools, and he uses this, he does this, and he does that. Well, I haven't seen any modern tools made that amplify any kind of complicated subspecies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where it derives to. I was just curious as a kid. I'm just one of those guys that there's hobbyists, and then you got your fanatics. And I'm at the top of the fanatics. Once I see something, hear something, I can't identify what it is. I'm going to research it until I die to figure out what it is.
There you go, a self-proclaimed fanatic.
Yes, I can't resist. I will testify that you're a fanatic. I know recently you lost your truck, and due to circumstances beyond your control, that's the best way I'm going to describe it, you had to temporarily replace it with a Mini Cooper. And you are the only man I know of who can successfully Bigfoot out of a Mini Cooper and make it look cool. I just want you to know, that's pretty damn awesome.
Well, all I can say is thank you on that. You're really going to love it when I put thermal on this
thing. All righty. Hey, now, you mentioned something there a little bit while back that I kind of want to address. You mentioned caves. Are you implying that there are caves somewhere in northeast Texas?
Oh, there's more than you can think.
Because that is not something people usually associate with northeast Texas. I mean, we think of forests, yeah, and swamp and things like that. But I don't often think of caves being out there. There are caves?
Yes, sir. There sure is. There's caves, there's places, multiple places where, well, here we go into geology for a second. We have over here, like in Ladonia, for instance, a bunch of blackland plowed fields where they have dug ditches, and within the first or second thunderstorm they had, these ditches turned into full-fledged rivers. So even though you've got all these underground caverns, but one wrong move, they collapsed in. Normally these caves in northeast Texas you don't want to enter. But, some of them can and have, like near White Rock, have the White Rock Shelf, the Eagle Ford Formation, which when it compacts is like concrete. And then you get water running through there, which makes good tunnels. And then you got, further off in there, you got actually big caverns. And I don't know if anyone of you all have heard over in West Texas of the cave system over there that they found, the Crystal Cave.
Crystal Cave?
That sounds familiar.
I know of Crystal Cave, yeah.
That.
Yeah, I'm wanting to say that's down closer to Austin and Waco, isn't it? Or
it's further west, I believe.
Oh, is it further west? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that I can think of is close enough to us right now that I'm aware of is Sonora, the Sonora Caverns. We've been down there before.
Most of your cave systems, let's say here in North Texas, aren't, they're temporary caves, like water washing roots that system out, and you can go back 15, 20, 30 feet off of some of these caves. Some of these little caves are 18, 19, 20 feet tall. They don't last long, and during the summer months, it's the time to go in there.
We live in West Texas. We hardly get any water.
Yeah.
Wash off doesn't exist for us.
It's kind of a desert out here. But I'll tell you what, that brings up something very interesting. Not being from East Texas, and I thought I was relatively knowledgeable about the type of terrain and topography out there. The fact you're saying that there are caves that occur and they're not long-lasting caves. I mean, you're talking about they're created by the rain and the water wash off and things like that.
Yes, sir.
But that gives a potential area for these animals and other animals in general to seek shelter in temporarily, like seasonally. Am I correct?
Yes, you are. And if you also follow a line up through the Llano Uplift, you'll notice the Llano Uplift goes to underground as you get closer to northeast Texas, and there are caves in the Llano Uplift. And if you look up the history of Rockwall, Texas, how it got its name, it's just one of them things that's never mentioned. It's like a big cover-up, but it's one of those situations like Rockwall, Texas, for instance. There's a wall all the way around it underground, and they say it was built by aliens. They said it was built by giants. And then they do a sample of it, and they say, no, this is a normal. It's just a formation.
I've heard about that.
It's interesting, But
wasn't it uncovered in a farmer's field one time or something back in the 1800s?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's it.
Yeah, there's
that
an
sure
exposed.
But
there's an exposed distance of it.
It shows you how just a little small area can develop a certain type of formation or whatever that could hold a cave. It could be possibly a cavernous inside. In just one little general area. North Texas has so many varieties, from Miocene, Eocene, you name it. And that's your basic stuff for concrete right there, and limestone.
Do you hear about these from other people and go investigate, or do you just happen to come across them on your own wanderings?
Well, as a general Bible thumper, I'll take people's story, and then I go check it out for myself, and then I go from there and make my own judgment with my own knowledge. I'm not very trusting on other people or what they say or tell me, but I do keep it in my mind and log it and file it. And when it coincides with something that coincides with what I'm doing, then I look at it, like that's the truth. That's the fact. When I get 2 or more examples of the same thing occurring, then it's got to be fact.
Now, what else do you find besides potential tools and arrowheads and such? Have you ever startled an animal in there? One of these caves?
One in particular video that I do have on Facebook, there was a tree that caved in, but the video that I have, it shows where I had to climb up on a fallen oak tree, and inside that oak tree was like a 20-foot cavern. Where the root system had come out. It was completely covered. I didn't go inside there because I knew that there was something in there. And yeah, I have come up several times. I've got several pictures there I can show. I've got hair from these places. Typically, when I come up to a place that has a potential of anything living in it, I stop right there what I'm doing. I take a few pictures, and I ease into it and inspect every square inch as I'm going. I do the string and tape thing. I get real nitpicking about it. I see a footprint, I get in there with a magnifying glass. Then if I have to, I'll tape that footprint with duct tape or whatever and see if I can pull any hairs off of it, and I'll bag those. It just goes on and on.
You seem very comfortable out in the woods, and you seem very methodical.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable out there. I mean, I know that I'm the most dangerous thing out there, or should be the smartest thing out there anyway, and we're not. But yeah, there's times where I'm sitting out there and I just can't stay. Your hair stands up. You know you're being watched. You know that you're being threatened. There's a presence there. And anybody who knows me in the Bigfoot world and elsewhere, they know I can detect a human at any time they come in the woods. And if they don't think I don't know that they're there, I do know that they're there.
You sound like you do a lot of your research solo.
I do until, things started getting a little hairy, a little too hairy even for me. And my wife, we had a baby, so I was decided to start going in there at least with somebody that can get away and get help. I do believe I am getting very close to this creature over here in Location X.
Wow.
We have a pattern. The creature knows my pattern, and I know the creature's pattern. And it don't matter if I switch my pattern up or not. It knows when I'm there, just like I know when it's there. Just like I imply, the spider web theory on everybody. I'm going there right now to Location X. There's spider webs everywhere. It wasn't a month ago. And these ain't just because they're spinning webs or whatnot, it's other times of year. Certain trails that he's used that I've followed the last 10 years that I know that he frequently travels down. When I start seeing destruction on it, or fake destruction, he's not as blunt, or should I say these 3 are not. They don't really they don't leave a lot of evidence behind, I should say. They're hard to track.
How do you feel about that? Can I ask you that question? Do you think that we need a specimen, or are you happy just looking for it and learning about it?
Well, the whole time I got into it, at first, you go through little stages as you're hunting them. And I would say hunting in a loose term, because I'm not hunting. I don't go in there with any weapons other than a knife on my back to defend myself. But as far as I've been in there all these years, it's kind of like the elephants have a graveyard they go to. I'm believing that these animals as well go to a private place to die.
Okay.
It's a real, just rhinos too, they go to a unique place to mate. They meet once a year. That nobody has yet recorded. And I believe it's something like that with these creatures. And as far as killing them, no, I wouldn't kill one, but waiting on a body, yes. Because I know the one that we were in here after, it's been in there for a very, very long time. My daddy was young. And right now, and I know it was fairly old at the time my dad was young. So this creature has to be pretty old.
So he's like an old friend you go visit every so often.
he used to live there all the time until they cut the woods out. And now he goes in there like every so often. But when he goes in there, he stays in there for quite a while. But I noticed, over the years that his pattern, his way he does things, it's slowing up for sure. It's not as fast. It don't get around as well as it did. I can see that trace the way it walks. It's spreading and its gait, so on and so forth. It don't reach as high as it used to. Like I said, I'm a fanatic. I look at everything.
It sounds like it's paying off for you. You've learned a lot about this one creature.
Well, I say a lot, but yet I haven't got a picture or video yet of this creature. That's the sad fact. It refuses. It's just like most animals nowadays, even deer, they're all going nocturnal. And it's super hard at night to get anything on video with any definition, etc.
Now, Jeremy, you have had some of the more interesting events happen to you. In fact, that's how I first became aware of you. But before we go into those, because I know you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir, I do.
I want to go back, and I want to hear a little bit about your childhood and about your father and about what y'all experienced back then, if you don't mind. Could we go in there and talk about that a little more?
Sure. Well, my daddy, we'll start off with him. They were probably, when they had their first experiences with these three different creatures, they were probably about 8 to 12 years old when I had my first experience. The one that my dad talks to me a lot about is when the three boys were camping, and BJ was barefooted, and I won't say his name freely because he's passed away. He is my uncle. They three were camping, and there was three creatures that they originally thought was one that was running around the camp so fast that they couldn't keep up with it. And this creature was about 20, 30 yards from camp. And then I guess the other ones joined in, running around the camp, just scaring the boys pretty good. My dad and his two brothers. And they finally, they started screaming and hollering and laughing at the boys, Dad said it was terrifying, the way he explained it to me. And it scared them so bad that they ended up getting up, leaving their shoes, their clothing, and everything. They took off running, cleared the fence, and BJ lost his britches and had to have stitches because he got caught on the fence. And they ended up running home. Now, that was the story number one with my dad. The story number two with my dad was the one where my mother was with him, and they were hunting, and they come upon a little spot of woods there that had a bunch of squirrel heads laying on the ground. Their bodies, actually, the heads had been chewed off and laid on the ground. There was 9 of them. And Dad took that as a sign to leave the woods, and they decided to leave. And I guess the most intriguing one that he's had is with me and at the house on the South Sulphur River on Malloy Road. They used to live right next to the river, about 100 yards from it. And this thing, and my dad was outside burning trash. And this thing hollered, and my dad answered it. And it hollered again, it was closer. And Dad answered it again, and it got closer. And at this point, it was probably 300 yards from my father. It started laughing like a human. Just this hair-raising laugh, like somebody on a bullhorn. But it sounded just like a human. And at that point, my dad was getting uneasy because it's getting really close to the house. He hollered at it one more time, and it came all the way up to a barn that, probably 75 yards from the house. And that's when my dad got a little leery. He decided he knew what it was. At that point, it wasn't nobody on a loudspeaker playing a joke. He decided to call it quits and went to the house. And, he didn't hear much from it over the years until after I was born. And after I was born, between 9 and 12 years old, I heard it about 200 yards, half a mile from my mama's house. Something like that, a quarter of a mile. A little place called the Roundhouse Pool. We was coming out from a hard day of fishing. It was hot in August, and it was at 8:30 p.m. Sun had just disappeared. We stepped out of the entranceway of that thing. There were some trains in between us. This creature wasn't 60 yards from us, so we couldn't see it. Train. But it was in a little patch of woods, and it let out this holler. It was undescribable. It was like the loudest thing I'd ever heard, and it rumbled you from the inside out. Something that, an animal, normally you can feel them rumble, the ground shake and whatnot. This thing shakes everything. And it was just impressive. And since then, that's when I got curious. And I guess that's when I became a book nerd. And then we had another experience with another passed away friend of mine named Wesley Wiggins. He was with me one night when we was in a tent, and we had hand signals. We poached a lot back then. As kids, we didn't know no better anyway. We carried a 22 with us every now and then, and at this time we didn't have a weapon. We was in the tent. He squeezed my arm. It was probably 2 a.m. in the morning, and I thought it was doing outside. And when I come fully awake and realized, hey, wait, this is warm, and then I woke up fully awake. My glasses, I wear glasses, so they were in that little side pouch in the tent. And so I crawled over, opened it, and zipped, the tent, stuck my head out. When I did, I seen a creature sitting there. It was probably 3 foot, 4 foot wide at the top, real skinny waist. And I couldn't really see a lot of definition. He was 20 or 30 steps from me. And then it slowly, disappeared into the bush. But it was the same color, and it had a few patches of lighter color on it. That I could see. I couldn't see its eyes, its face. It had a muzzle, but I could definitely smell it, feel the heat where it was at, smell its piss, and you name it. That was probably one of the scariest times I had. And then me and Wesley both, I looked at him, and I pointed, nodded toward the tent door, and he got his stuff, and we left. Ran home all the way. And that, the stories over there in Commerce, Texas, just not far from my house. They go even into the law enforcement. They got a call in the 70s or early 80s about a creature that was picking up 400-pound pigs in one arm, stepping over the fence, and walking away. And then he called his backup. And when his backup arrived, he got out of the vehicle and seen the same thing. The creature came back across the fence. We don't know what he did with the other hog. Grabbed another hog in one arm and stepped over the fence. And then they looked at each other and said, "We're not getting paid for this. Enough." And they got their car and left. And the stories go on and on even further than that in Commerce, and Horton and Delta County. The Air Force pilot that we used to watch the naked woman play in the trees, 3 creatures chasing each other back there. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Okay, now wait a minute. I gotta know. I didn't hear that correctly. We had the Air Force pilot that was watching the naked woman in the trees?
Yeah, they called it the naked woman. They could tell it was a female that had, breastises. But yes, they get done after a hard day of plowing in the cotton field. They go up on the hill and Fort Bottom, location X, and they would watch 3 creatures as the sun was down, chasing each other. And one in particular, what they called the naked woman, the lady, they would go and drink out of the pond, and then by herself, then go back into the trees, and they would chase each other in and out of the trees like squirrels do, going up and down the trees. And that was a really intriguing story. I enjoyed that because that one little story there, compiled with all evidence that I've gathered, matched perfectly. I mean, this guy still hasn't met to this day.
Are you thinking that they were probably maybe late juveniles or something like that?
Yeah, exactly what I think. They were at that point in time, 3 juveniles. Probably one older female, but she was probably still middle-aged. That puts in 3 to 4 creatures, and I've only seen evidence of 3 so far.
Okay.
Even as a kid, when we was fishing and whatnot, you always knew that creature was there. Every time we entered the place they called the Trussels, you had that feeling. Real thick air, you could smell it. I mean, there's no electrical lines to make you paranoid there going over. There's no off energy anywhere there. So you shouldn't be, if you're comfortable in the woods, you shouldn't be having these feelings coming from nowhere. And then there's times, we'd leave carp on the bank because we get tired of catching them, drum, and then we'd come back 3 or 4 hours later, and they'd be gone. No footprints, no evidence, no coons, no bears. But they would be just gone. There's tracks that I followed out in the middle of the field that just disappeared in the dew line. Where'd he go? There's no trees there. Where'd this thing go? How do you do this? We have lizards and animals all over the planet that have special abilities from shocking you. We have eels that can shock you. We have chameleons that can change color, but we have not a mammal with a special ability yet.
Now let's fast forward, because I know you got involved with stuff as an adult. You've been an avid outdoorsman most all your life.
Yes, sir.
I have had some very high recommendations on you over the years for your tracking skills.
Thank you.
People say that you really, really know your stuff and everything. And it's high praise from who it's coming from, because especially one of them, I know he can actually track somewhat decently. So if he's saying that you can do it, then I'll tell you what, you know, it's high praise. And plus now I've had the fortune to be out, you know, an evening or so with you and just kind of get a taste of how you move and how you think in the woods. And they're right. You've got your head on your shoulders. That doesn't mean a whole lot for me, because I don't necessarily have my head on my shoulders, but I can tell that you do. And you're cool, calm, and collected, and you don't jump to conclusions, and I like that. I like that a lot.
I'm there 80% of the time to disprove. Disprove it, then prove it. Do you follow me?
I do.
I'm still in denial even after all these years, you know. But you know, I call it denial. It's not really denial, but you can call it that. I know that it's real. I know what I've seen. I know what we've heard.
But you also know how rare it is.
Yes, very. I wouldn't harm a hair on the streets, or you know, it all boils down to the situation when we come face to face.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to even want to fire the first shot, so to speak.
That's fair enough. That is fair enough. Yeah, I mean,
I respect.
You don't have to be the one to do so. You know, that's everybody's choice. You know, whether that, you know, not getting into the subject or anything, but everyone can make that own assumption of them. You're right. It depends on how it is when you meet them, and you know you really don't want to. You don't want to harm a hair on its head or anything like that. You just want to admire it. You want to see it, admire it, and understand it. I understand and respect that. That's good.
I want to be the walks up to it and says checkmate.
Yeah.
You know, we've been playing this in and out game for years. This chess this creature's got, what I call chess game. I make one move, it makes 8.
You know, that's actually not a bad analogy for a lot of what we do. A chess game? You're right.
Yep.
You know, it's and you're right. It would be interesting to finally walk up to Sasquatch and just say, checkmate. That would be an accomplishment.
It would be a heck of an accomplishment, especially after all I've been through. You know, it's been rough. It's hard on everything when you spend that much time out there. You know, my wife doesn't even get to see me that much, and my child. So it takes a whole lot of your time. Yeah, mm-hmm. Especially when you're not getting paid to do it, you know, or anything like that. You're going out there because you know what you saw, and you're going to prove it before you die.
Right.
And it's, you know, the wife. It's hard on the wife.
How is she handling that? Because I know you do spend a good amount of time out in the woods.
She handles it better than any other woman I could even describe. She handles it well. She doesn't give me no grief about it whatsoever.
Lucky man.
She knows to, you know, we've been married for a while, so I'm sure I'll talk to my sweet, so I'm sure she understands probably better than anybody.
Does she ever have interest in going out there with you?
She has a couple of times, but, you know, it's like I know this thing's dangerous, and I really don't want to involve her. Because I do know that females have a potential of attracting animals at certain times, you know, so I keep her out of there. You never know about these creatures. You really don't.
Tell me something.
Yeah.
Let's get into the meat of the matter here.
We've been chipping around it for a minute.
We've been chipping around for a few minutes. And there are two things I want to address first, that I really want to address in this interview. The first one, Well, the primary one is when I first became aware of you. I was out in the field with a mutual friend of ours, and I remember you knew him, and you sent a text to him, and you had an event happen. You know the event I'm talking about, correct?
The Coyotes?
The Coyotes. Can we hear a little bit about the Coyotes? I'd be real interested in actually hearing that story and the background behind it and how it happened.
Well, it's going to be a long one.
We got all night, and I can edit out to whatever I have to. It's okay.
Well, I started off, I told my dad had some experiences. This is what got me back into the Bigfoot 100% after I'd made a promise to my dad. I said, hey, you hear this thing one more time, I said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hunt this thing until the end. And that's what I told him. Well, it wasn't a month later, he calls me and tells me, that he was out kayaking and the thing hollered at him. Even my dad, he's never lied to me, so I still have doubts in disbelief. So I went out there and I checked for myself, and he told me the truth. So I said, okay, that's where it started. So that year is when I started going out to Location X on a daily and staying in there for 30 to 40 days at a time. My wife would bring me supplies when I needed it. I was not going to leave it. And that's pretty much how we got started. And, well, I'd been in there probably 2 seasons, and this creature had I guess, enough of me. Because I was getting closer and closer and closer to it, doing different tricks. And, well, one day, it was in the wintertime, I believe it was, when the Coyotes got started. It started spring, winter, late winter. But I'd come down the road, and I was running a few hours late. And I was looking to my left just to come into an edge of a tree line where field meets, where one of my favorite places to watch is. And just as I turned my head to the left, I noticed a movement, and I looked back, and the next thing I know, I see a coyote go across my truck backwards. And, crumpled up mess on the ground. So I pulled over, it never hit me or anything. It was in front of my truck about 6 to 8 feet, actually where it had come across. And it was probably 4 feet off the ground when it zoomed across the road. Jeremy Gibson's got to know why. I stopped my truck, put it in park, grabbed the camera, and walked over to an animal that had been dead for several hours. And you got to keep in mind, I normally come in to that area, like I said, I was running 3 hours late. He had killed that thing about normally the normal time that I come in there. So this thing had already had me passed. He knows who, what, when, and where. So I get out and I start taking pictures of this, and posting it. And as I'm doing that, I hear, I'm aware of what's behind me, now that, hey, coyotes don't fly back. And I look down at the coyote, and y'all seen the pictures too of the coyote. This thing looked like a torn up piece of paper, somebody just crumpled up, tossed in the trash can. And I turn around and I notice movement behind me, and I turn on my video and I start walking toward the fence, on my hands and knees. And you can see in the video 2 legs walking backwards. And by the time I got to the fence, there was another carcass laying there of a hog that the skin had been rolled back like bears did. It wasn't done with anything but claws or teeth or a knife. And the head was gone off of it. I got pictures of that as well. And it probably died about a week ago. And I've been all through there every night, searching every square inch. That hog was not there. So that day is when he brought all that in there. And it wasn't 5 days after that. It's when the coyote, when I woke up, was just at the same spot that I urinate every morning. It was just getting daylight at 7 o'clock in the morning. 6:30, 7 o'clock, cold. Really cold that morning. And I got up out of my truck, went to my place where I urinate. Sure enough, there's a coyote there, blood just coming out of her mouth, not a noise anywhere. I watched her take her last 2 breaths, and I videotaped this because as soon as I seen her, I went back to my truck. So she just died, and was an alpha female, pregnant. So, people can, what's the word that you want to look for on that? They can, use it in many different ways, I should say. Some say, it was a gift. I'm like, no, it's not a gift. This thing was a threat. It was threatening me with a coyote. And he did.
I would agree. That's how I would interpret that, too, is that would be a if not a threat, at least a warning. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not.
exactly.
These animals were not in good condition.
Well, this animal through this coyote, it's like an insult. This animal sees where I'm urinating, so he's looking at it like, okay, I'm claiming dominance of that area because I'm urinating there. You follow? Yeah. And so it's going to insult me by throwing that coyote there instead of walking up there and using the restroom. You know, things just don't make sense. You see? You know, things don't make sense with the way the animal kingdom works, I should say. How this situation happened. It didn't do things that wild animals would normally do. It's just like, you know, your favorite dog outside. You're walking around outside as a male and you use the restroom. Your dog's going to use the restroom right there on top of it. Yeah. And then, you know, so on and so forth. Well, how come this creature didn't go over there and claim that tree where I've been urinating? That's what I don't understand. Instead, he rips a coyote, kills a coyote, however he did it, chunks it over there, kicks it over there, slams it into a tree right where he urinated. Like he's disgusted with me and my smell.
Well, it's more than just that. I think he wanted to stop your behavior. It didn't like your urinating there, but I don't think it was looking at it as a territorial way.
Right. What you did
it was just trying to stop you. It was showing disgust.
Showing me dominance.
That's right.
In a weird way. He was trying, what's that word? He was trying to intimidate me.
Yes.
That's what I get out of it.
Now, were there, other than the coyotes being thrown at, did you ever get to the point where you actually were seeing the creature, or where it was making itself more physically known, or was it doing displays?
Yes, it was making itself physically known. Even with my new buddy Justin going in there with me now, it's still making itself known. But you still have to go in there and you have to stay in there for a little while, over 5 days, before this thing will even. And, you know, I say that, there's no truth to any of that. You can go in there one night and have an experience, you know. What do I know? But it normally takes me 3 to 5 days before it has enough of me, my odor and my smell, then it comes in. It could be that, or it's traveling a long way and knows that I'm in there.
Could it just be that it's used to your presence? And it takes that long to be annoyed by you? Yes,
I've gotten video recordings of it growling, it's huffing at me. You know, it's gotten closer to the point where it's 50 yards, but on its own terms. If I'm going in there looking for a place where it's resting, and I know that it's in that place that it's resting, it's not going to be there when I come to it, but it comes to me on its own terms. But I don't get to visually actually see it. You know, it stays behind cover, stays, you know, head to cover most time. And that's what's the most frustrating about this whole hunt, this whole tracking business, because you know it's there, it's not going to let you see it. And eventually it will. I mean, I was in there at a point for so long that even the animals knew who I was when I came in. They wouldn't even be scared. I had deer laying next to me. I had beavers that would come up to me, show me their family. You know, it goes on and on. I had wild coyotes, even with my new friend Justin coming in there. The coyotes still come up to me. Once they catch wind of him, they're gone.
So they know when to be out of there.
I have all sorts of animals coming in there up to me. I mean, even to this day. They know who I am. They know my smell, and I never forget. That's when you know you've been in an area too long.
Now, this is your what you call Area X. Do you ever do anything in any other areas or anything like that? And you don't have to identify them. I'm just thinking that, remember you talking about more than one area that you frequent sometimes.
Yes, Cass County would be another one. Just due east, probably 40 miles, not even that, from where the Folk Monster is, where y'all had the festival.
Yeah.
I think that's another area I grew up in there. And yes, there's several in there. It's just an area nobody goes to. It's really private, really quiet at all times. That even a curious animal, if it wanted to see lights and pretty colors or, you know, stuff like that, they can view it from a long way and not be disturbed. It just brings to terminology, it's why everybody, I call them the watchers, because that's basically what it seems like they're doing 80% of the time is watching and observing. You know, they put themselves in areas that where an observer would put themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you, while you've been out there in the woods and you've spent all this time looking for Sasquatch, what other unusual things have you come across?
Good grief. I mean, even in camp one time, like I said, I've got the video of it. A guy had told me on one of my videos to go back and look at it, and I went back to look at it, and sure enough, there was a set of eyes right at my hammock. Now, I'm going to rewind and tell you the whole story. It's on video there. I had killed a rabbit, a swamp rabbit, not a swamp rabbit, but a regular old cottontail rabbit with my knife. I'd thrown it, killed it, and on video, I hung the rabbit up, for display to get the smell of blood going around. And it probably wasn't 45 minutes later. It was pretty early in the morning, 2 o'clock, I think, in the morning. I can't even tell you offhand what time it was. But it was really late, really early. And I was doing the video. I got up, and I had the phone light in my eyes, so I was pretty well night blind. And I got up from camp, so I was smelling an odor. And this rabbit went 20 steps from my hammock. Well, I walk up to the rabbit, and I show, everybody on Facebook. I did a live video there. Showed everybody where the rabbit was, and I slowly, was doing a 360, and I showed them where my campfire was, and I raised the camera up, and you can see my hammock, and then about, 6 feet above my hammock, behind this tree, there's these 2 sets of eyes, one eyeball sitting right there looking at you. Here I am in a deep, dark woods. There shouldn't be no eye there. You can see the retina and everything in it when you zoom it in.
Was it that you had eye shine, or were you actually seeing eyeballs?
It was an actual eyeball, and eye shine. You could see it. I mean, when you zoomed in on it.
They were reflecting off of the light that you were shining.
Right, I never did. Yes, sir. And I never did even see this thing there at that time. Like I said, it was the next day before I realized that it was even there. So that creature had snuck around me. I was smelling it. It already snuck around me and got by my bed without me knowing it. And then got away without me knowing it.
And here you are saying you're a good woodsman.
I knew it was there. I got it on video. I knew it was there, but I just didn't know where. He's right behind me. Like I said, these things are something else. Whether they got padded feet, even deer have pads on the bottom of their hooves. That's something a lot of people just don't know. But these things are exceptionally quiet, and you would think something this big would breathe heavy. You would hear it, but you don't. I can hear armadillos breathing when they're walking around at night. You can hear them shuffling around, snorting, pigs too. These creatures are like they breathe through their nose.
All right, now you've seen the eye shine, you've seen this and that. What other things have you seen? Have you run across any kind of a paranormal or anything like that? Have you ever seen lights in the woods or anything? And what's your position on that?
Yes, sir. There is paranormal things that go on down there. When they cut the lake out, they disturbed the cemetery. They didn't do the proper thing with the cemetery. Remove the body, whatnot. There was a lot of tragedies down there. I think there was some Indian wars down in there. But yes, I get a look at the paranormal activity down there, but not in the exact location of where I have the most activity with this creature.
Okay, but the activity, the paranormal activity you're referring to, actually is usually in a different area, or?
Yes, it's a place they call Lost Ridge. It's within, you can call it the same area. It's within a half mile.
Okay.
Give or take. Like I said, I'm a fanatic. But yes, I get orbs. I hear voices sometimes, that kind of creep you out to the right at your ear. It's like you're talking to yourself.
Right.
I guess. Me and Justin have gotten lost in there, and 3 times in a row, same night, in an area that I know well. And I told him, it's kind of like you're having amnesia. We got up to leave from where we was fishing on the Middle Sulphur River, where the South Sulphur, Middle Sulphur meet. It's like called Lost Ridge. We were fishing there, and we were done. So we packed up our gear. And I'm like, okay, let's head out of here. And it wasn't 100 yards to the road. You got to keep that in mind. It's only 100 yards to that road that leads out of there. There ain't no trails or anything leading where we're fishing. So we get up and we head out to where the road's supposed to be. Well, for some unknown reason, it seemed like 45 minutes, no road. And I told him, I said, something's wrong here. So I turned around and we walked. It took us 10 minutes to walk back to where we were fishing. And somebody explained that to me. And we did it again. Because I knew exactly where we was, and we got up to leave again, and we went a different direction, just 10 degrees off from where we went on our last trail, let's put it that way. We walked again for about 30 minutes, no road. I said, that dang road's only 100 yards, from where we were fishing. So I turned around and I said, I know where we're at. And I turned around and we went right back to where we were fishing. And I got mad at that point. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm going straight uphill. I said, I know that's the way to the road, straight uphill. And that's what we did. We turned around and walked straight uphill. And finally we came out on the road. But that was one of the creepiest, it's like you lost time. That's the only thing I can explain. I don't know what else to say, how else to explain that. It was, we pretty well stayed out of that area, which I will go back. But that I can't explain that. That was just something that's out of my hands. I have no control over. I don't know how to even explain that, whether that was paranormal, or what.
We're just going to rank it up as bizarre. How's that?
Very.
It was just bizarre.
Very.
Now,
and that place has been that way for years. I guess that's the reason they call it Lost Ridge, I reckon. I don't know.
there are weird places like that. There was a place or two in Oregon and Washington that I was aware of that they had up there. A lot of places have it. Where things just seem weird.
Yep.
And
now
it happens.
Me and my father also had a UFO experience. Here this wasn't even 4 years ago on the Red River. It was reported over Texas. This thing
Tell us.
Come down the river. We was kayaking, and I look up, and I see a fast mover coming. It was coming down that Red River, hard and fast. Not a single noise coming out of it. Not a hum, not nothing. And then it went shot straight up in the air, and I told my dad it's coming. And he looks up and sees it, this brilliant light, and this thing morphs into two, and then just disappears. Not a noise, nothing. But it was reported and recorded all over Texas. Several people seen it, so that told me that it was higher up, than what I was originally thinking. That it was a bigger object. Followed me on that. I think it's one of the strangest things I've seen yet. Cass County. Me and my father wake up at the same time while deer hunting during the winter, and we look up into the sky again. Something's coming through the clouds. It lights up the clouds, and when it breaks open, it comes through the clouds. It explodes into a fiery ball with no noise, and it breaks into a million glittery pieces. I couldn't explain it, but it wasn't no comet. It wasn't a plane exploding or anything like that. I've never seen anything like that in my life either, and it was blue. But it came through the sky like a comet, a huge comet. It was really weird.
I have seen meteors do that before, where they arc in, and all of a sudden they just blow up like a firework. Best way I could describe it. You see them, boom.
That's when they hit the atmosphere.
Yeah,
the explosion.
It's when they overheat.
The explosion was so bright that it went, it lit up the treetops from out. It just floated right above the trees. I mean, it probably wasn't 70, 80 yards above the trees when it separated.
Oh, wow.
And if it wasn't wintertime, I'm sure it caught the forest on fire. But, yeah, I've had instances where I've seen hogs in trees, horses in trees. I've seen some crazy mutilated animals on places I've been called in South Texas and in Oklahoma and in Louisiana. And just hours and hours of talking on that. That's just,
Fair
I
enough.
go on.
That's okay. Jennifer, I'm thinking you've got something you've been kind of sitting there looking at me waiting to ask and everything. Are you wanting to torture Jeremy here?
Let's torture him a little bit tonight.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Jeremy, I'm so sorry.
I knew it's coming. Bring it.
I love games, Jeremy, and I would like to play a game with you if I may. Do you like games?
Sure. Let's play a game.
This game is called the Quick Cryptid Connection Query. I have a list of cryptids. I'm going to read them out to you, and I want to hear yay, if you believe it, nay, if you don't, or if you've not heard of it, or say what, especially if you've not heard of it. Like,
Okay.
wow, that's got to be a made-up one. Say what? Yay, nay, or say what? And
Okay.
within this list, I have 2 Easter eggs, so to speak. One of them is a cousin of the big hairy fella, or another name thereof, and the other is an actual former cryptid proven real. So are you ready for this game, Jeremy?
Sure, let's do this.
Okay. Ibu Gogo.
No.
Deathworm.
Yeah. Yes.
Megalodon.
Yes.
Black shuck.
No.
Caddy.
You're full of it.
Brownie.
Brownie?
Yes, sir.
Never heard of it.
Kelpie. Kelpie.
Kelpie? No, I've never heard of Kelpie.
Mahamba.
Never heard of it.
Zerotan.
Never heard of it.
Griffin.
No, there's no such thing as a griffin.
Spring-heeled jack.
You're full of it.
Wampus cat.
Wampus cat? Yes, I'm sure there's a wampus cat.
Vampire.
No.
Mothman.
Maybe.
Kraken.
That's Kraken?
Yes, sir.
As in large squid? Yes.
Manitou.
You're full of it. Wait a minute,
Okapi.
say that name again? Wait a minute, go back. What was that name?
Manitou.
A manatee?
Manitou.
Manitou.
Manatou.
No. There ain't no such thing.
Okapi.
And repeat?
Okapi. Okapi. Pardon my northern accent. Okapi.
Never heard of it.
Almas.
Never heard of that one either.
All right, thus ends the quick cryptid connection query. Do you think you've recognized a Bigfoot type creature in there, or the former cryptid, now proven real?
I don't believe there's a Bigfoot. That's what you're asking there.
He didn't hear a Bigfoot that he recognized.
What about you, Stephen? Do you recognize any of them?
The Bigfoot was the very last thing you mentioned, which was the almas. Your cryptid that is now a known animal was the okapi.
Okapi.
And it's a deer type thing in Vietnam, if I remember right.
You could
Or-
say deer goat
Something.
thing.
It looks like a deer and a goat got together and had a love baby.
Well, actually, it looks like a zebra. And
add a horse into it
yeah.
then. Okay. But it's a very strange looking animal.
Yes.
It is.
Black and white striped legs with a brown rest of the body. It's very odd.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like what's his name? That wolf.
The wolf?
The wolf that went extinct.
The dire wolf,
or
you mean?
No. Hang on a minute. I'll think of the name of it. Had a long snout that had a video of it in the 1960s. Had a zebra butt.
Thylacine. You're talking about the thylacine or the Tasmanian not Tasmanian devil, but the Tasmanian wolf. I think is what they call it.
Tasmanian wolf.
Yep. Yeah, that was a very strange looking animal.
Yeah, it's just like she was describing.
Yep.
So I know Northeast Texas, and I've done a little bit of reading and research on some of these cryptic things, but I try to use my knowledge, what I see hand to hand, to identify.
That's the smartest way to go about it. Jennifer just sits here and likes to torture people with her Google searches, I think.
Now, I research every one of them to see what they're about.
I have such an extensive knowledge in the library in my skull. When you start asking certain names, now if you want to dip into paleontology, Megalodon's a 60-foot huge shark.
Yep. Some people claim they're still out there, though.
There's actually...
Well, I can throw you a quick theory with Megalodon. I think the thing still exists. I think the great white shark that you're seeing today, that they come in, once per season to the California coast, breed and to leave and to feed there and go back down to the deep. Well, who's to say those ain't baby megalodons? They stay in shallow waters at all times. They have to have deep water. And normally when you have something like that requires deep water to stabilize its system, it's big. I'll use the hippos, for example. Things like that.
That's true.
It has to have that pressure. It has to have that pressure to kick the body. And that would explain why great white sharks, why they have these crazy patterns. And all of a sudden you put a tag on one, and then that shark disappears shortly after that, eaten in half by a huge shark that they got on video. It went back to its mama. But yeah, I mean, I can get in deep with megalodon.
It's good that you've got a varied interest, I'll tell you that.
Well, megalodon, I mean, they've even got fossil bones from megalodon's tooth that are less than 100 years old. That they can't. They've tried several times to carbon date, and they can't. But the tooth itself is still white. Can they explain that to me?
Yeah.
That is actually really, really odd because they're finding those on land too, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
and their technology only goes so far in the ocean. I mean, look here. They're just now realizing, hey, there's giant squid still here.
Yeah.
If their megalodon's food source is still here, then he is still here.
That's logical.
I mean, that's just But that's to me. I mean, a great white shark. There's not a subspecies for that great white shark going back in the dinosaur times, other than megalodon. You got Cretolomno, which was a smaller one. You have a few of the other ones. Cretoxarina, Nantelli. They were the other bigger ones, but they're still not a great white. They still don't have the same tooth structure that megalodon and great white have. They have similar tooth structure. And I've never seen an old great white tooth yet. How they get blunted, in old age.
Yeah, I never realized they really got that blunted because I thought they continuously were replaced.
They are. But at a certain age, even if you look at megalodon's teeth, you see how blunted they are.
Oh, really?
As a child, even young children, if you look at a lot of these sharks, some of the largest great whites, their teeth are razor sharp, all of them. And yet you look at a megalodon, they have the same tooth structure, but they're not. It's like a kid, for example. Even when they're young, they shed their teeth, but they're sharp.
Right.
As you get older and get more replaced, the duller they get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. As it goes further back into the mouth, the creature gets older. He doesn't. They're just dulled out as they replace themselves. I can't really. It's hard for me to explain it, but yeah, I get it. The more they use their teeth and lose them, the ones that are being replaced are not as good as the ones that they had to begin.
Right.
I said it.
All right. We're going to wrap it up here, but before we do, I need to ask one question. And this one's actually kind of interesting because you actually know a lot of different creatures and animals and cryptids and everything else. It's apparent from the way you're discussing it that you're fairly knowledgeable and you've known for a long time. So, Jeremy, I need to know, what's under your bed at night?
What's under my bed at night?
Yeah.
Or
some people, it's not under their bed, it's in their closet. But I want to know, what is your boogeyman? What's that thing that kind of gives you chills and makes you curl up or turn the light on?
Well, when I know I'm being watched, pretty much, and can't find it.
But what do you think it is?
Other than that, I'm not scared of anything. I mean, you could have a grizzly bear yell at me in the face and slobber all over me, and I wouldn't probably get scared. I'd giggle at it a little bit, maybe. I'm just not one of them that has a big fear.
So you don't have anything that kind of just bugs you at night or anything like that, but you don't like something just standing there and watching you.
Yes, I don't like being followed. Things like that. Brings a little paranoia to me. I don't like being paranoid.
I can
I like being
understand
comfortable. I like my little circle of security. And when it's broken, I get a little uneasy.
Ah.
I can understand that. Interesting. See?
You know, I'm out there as human bait, and I realize that's what I'm doing.
The
So I
unknown
accept it.
creature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'll try to get out there and be as vulnerable as I can. And I know what I'm doing. You know, I'm risking a lot doing that. I'm risking my life. But that's what I do. I go out there. I even smell like chicken sometimes. But I sit right out there with my back to a ticket. You know, and just wait to see what will come up behind me. Of course, I'm not no gun bum. I will put a camera up and flash on it. But
Yeah, I was about to say, you're one of those that don't go out armed, aren't you?
yes, I carry a knife, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's
I also
not,
know,
not a lot
you know,
of
I'm
people
very
do
well,
that.
I know the anatomy just like Logan does. I know the anatomy of humans and all animals. I've butchered all my life. Something comes, even a bear, for instance, comes up on you, or even we'll start with a two-legged animal. It comes at you to attack you. You take out its Achilles heel, and I tell it a little pressure with a knife on the Achilles heel, it can't catch you. It'll drop.
Yeah.
So when I say play dead, sure, play dead. Drop dead on your back and go swinging. Excuse the French. I slipped one time. You got to give me a break. Only once.
That's all right.
You're fine.
You're doing just fine, buddy. Okay.
Yeah, I've gone through this scenario through my head a bunch of what to do if I'm attacked by different creatures. So I can only do what I'm trying to do.
I would like to have you back on and do some sort of a roundtable with wilderness survival techniques. Would you be amenable to that, Jeremy?
Oh, yeah, easily. No problem.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you're going to be a repeat guest. Probably in the near future, too. Alrighty. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Jeremy, I appreciate you taking the time.
We haven't talked about Louisiana. We hadn't talked about Arkansas.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We're going to get there.
We got hours. Yeah, I've enjoyed this, y'all. I do appreciate it.
Oh, no.
We sure appreciate you spending the time letting us get to know you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, but we're hitting over an hour now on the record. So, we're about an hour and 30 minutes. So I think we've got a solid hour show already. So we're going to hold the rest back for another episode, okay?
All right. At least you shouldn't have a whole lot of editing to do.
No, actually, you did pretty
Absolutely
good.
not.
You did very good tonight. We appreciate it, man. I do. All righty. Jeremy, you take care, and we will see you later.
Yes, sir. And I sure thank you. Y'all have a good night. Bye, Mama.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Guests of Cryptid Connection are all members of the Cryptid Connection website. Join the community, a safe, secure, and private place for all your paranormal and cryptid pursuits.
Every cowboy, he always misses when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about running, and I'll get out on the town just for myself. And that's when I saw her, and she looked right through me. And when I said I do that day, I really do. 'Cause every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. have gotta leave this town to find my way. And when that plane touched down on that island town, I knew that my life's work was in their hands. So I started digging wells of water, and I'm a hero in their eyes. It's clear to see. 'Cause every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hand, grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about the time that I have wasted sitting here. 'Cause I've been thinking that all this thinking is the thing that keeps me further from myself.
The music and soundtrack for the opening is from Epic Film Score by Alex Kaskin. The closing credits are Every Cowboy by Cellophane Sam.